WIXT 9 in Syracuse. From the WIXT 9 Broadcast Center, Rod Wood and Carrie Lazarus, Doug Logan on sports, and Rick Gary with weather. This is 9 Eyewitness News.
Good evening, everyone. Children waiting on the street corners, yellow buses flashing red lights, and bells ringing. It's the beginning of a new school year here in central New York, and students today officially said goodbye to summer and hello to new teachers and new friends. Here at the Fremont Elementary School, the kids were given a pep talk by their head coach, their principal. Some students admitted that they were a bit nervous at first, but they got over their jitters.
Well, I thought I would get lost and everything, because, well, you gotta change classes every period. But there's schedules on the board, and we wrote it down and everything.
So everything went smoothly for you?
So far.
You think you're gonna like it?
This school, like a lot of central New York schools, says the first day went without a hitch. The 3 R's have traditionally been the basic lessons in the classroom, but with the dawning of a new high-tech age, the 3 R's are being joined by the letter C for computer. Christy Casciano reports.
We'll open up to page 4 and 5. Let's take a look at those photographs.
Soon, the students in this classroom will be asked to not only open their books, but to get out their discs. In just a few short weeks, every classroom in this school will have one of these.
You can control G real quick if you...
Yeah,
okay?
Stop it.
It'll stop it like that, but you've got to be really...
Computer education begins at an early age. Formal instruction starts in the 4th grade.
The idea is to get students to feel comfortable working around computers, to teach them how to enter programs, read the screen, and speak the language.
Split screen, full screen, text screen, and there's clear screen and terms more like right turn, left turn.
I'm lost. Do you understand all that?
Yeah, I understand all these terms that I've been using, because I have my own logo program at home, too.
And Jeff isn't alone. The school says 70% of its students have computers in their homes. Teachers note the children today aren't intimidated at all by what many adults still think is a high-tech tool.
They're born with a computer, just like they were with a TV. It's something that's just part of their life.
And computers are very much a part of their future. That is why schools are pushing computer literacy.
It would be a tremendous drawback to send a child out into the world today without exposure and some degree of knowledge concerning computer.
And these youngsters have already learned that lesson. Many have quickly learned the value of having a computer in the workplace.
Working, they don't ask for higher pay, or they don't ask for vacations or anything. They just do what you tell them to.
Christy Casciano, 9 Eyewitness News.
He says he's not a candidate, at least not in 1988. And tonight, our first look at world and national news focuses on Gary Hart, who stepped back into the public spotlight last night on ABC's Nightline to tell the nation he's sorry for the mistakes that forced him to give up his candidacy.
And I hope by getting what I think are irrelevant issues behind us, and certainly private issues behind us, and focusing, frankly, on what I think is a new issue, and that is the privacy of political figures, so that we do get the best leadership in this country. I can make that contribution. That's all I want to do.
The former Democratic frontrunner said he would not re-enter the presidential race, but he will still raise issues for debate. He also confessed to committing adultery during his 29-year marriage. So how do people view Gary Hart after last night's revelation? We spoke with the 1984 Hart delegate who says he's disappointed but still a Hart supporter even now.
Disappointed. But when it comes to public policy, when it comes to issues, when it comes to leadership ability for governing this country, I still have no question about Gary Hart's capability.
And like Hart, Williams agrees that scrutinizing candidates so closely may turn away some of the most qualified people for the job of president. In news from the Persian Gulf tonight, Iraq says its warplanes have bombed 13 targets inside Iran in what it called a day of revenge. For its part, Iran is vowing swift retaliation. The escalation comes as the United Nations Secretary General prepares to visit both countries in an effort to end the war in the Persian Gulf. The man convicted of murdering 8 student nurses in Chicago in 1966 is staying in jail. The Illinois Prisoner Review Board voted today unanimously to deny parole to Richard Speck.
Speck's application for parole resulted in an emotional appeal from friends and relatives of the victims who urged against his release. And coming up in the Family Healthcast, a new cholesterol drug. Can it help you?
And next in Money Matters, despite the rise in interest rates, you're still buying the American dream. Details next.
For years, I've tried to diet my way back into this size 10 dress. But diets have no flavor, so I cheated. Well, with Nutrisystem, it's going to be different. Hey, getting there. On the Nutrisystem Flavor Set Point weight loss program, I eat foods rich in flavor and texture, so I never have to cheat. Success! I lost 35 pounds. I'm a 10 again.
Call now and receive 50% off the cost of Nutrisystem services. We succeed where diets fail you.
All Natural Breyers Ice Cream presents the screen test. Now, bring your vanilla ice cream right up to the screen. All right, now read the ingredients. Guar gum, carrageenan. Well, my Breyers has just milk, cream, sugar, and real vanilla beans. It's all natural. Here, try it.
And now sorbets swirled in Breyers vanilla ice cream. New blueberry strawberry sorbets in cream and new lemon sorbet in cream.
Empire Vision. When the focus is fashion, the look is Sophia Loren at Empire Vision.
Picture yourself stunning,
seductive,
subtle, successful,
sophisticated,
sensational.
That's Sophia. Sophia Loren, foreseeing and being seen every moment of your life. Now at Empire Vision.
The Pope arrives in Miami Thursday.
Tomorrow on Good Morning America, we'll cover the papal visit to this country.
Also, Thomas Hollywood Henderson, who went from the heights of the Super Bowl to the depths of drugs and prison.
Danny Glover from the television movie Mandela will be here.
Tomorrow, here on Good Morning America.
It's that time again. Time to get all the information you need for a brand new television season. TV Guide's Fall Preview Issue. Pick one up today.
In tonight's Money Matters, the city of Syracuse has figured out a way to save taxpayers $30,000 a year. It is shutting down its Consumer Affairs Office. All complaints will be sent to the county's consumer departments beginning January 1st. The city says since 1978, there's been a steady drop in the number of complaints handled by the city consumer department. It appears rising mortgage interest rates are not deterring home buyers. After dropping to the 9% level in March, interest rates rose to near 11% by mid-May. According to the Greater Syracuse Board of Realtors, sales of existing homes have been soaring all summer long.
Based upon numbers that we have available through the end of August, the number of sales that have actually closed this year are up over 9% from what it was last year through the end of August. It's a fairly healthy increase.
Roque says it's hard to predict the future of mortgage interest rates, but he looks for them to remain in the 10.5% to 11% level a while longer. He says the median price for existing homes in Syracuse is just over $71,000, a figure that's gone up about $1,000 during the past few months. On Wall Street, the stock market closed higher today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 4 points. Advancing issues beat decliners by a narrow margin. Among stocks of local interest, Allied and Chrysler closed higher as Bristol-Myers lost an eighth. Cooper also closed lower while GE rose a half point. Niagara-Mohawk lost a quarter. UTC gained 3/4.
Time now to check in with Joe Carcione. You know, the newly harvested Brussels sprouts are now coming to market, and Joe has some tips on how to pick out the best ones and how to cook them. Here he is.
Joe Carcione, the greengrocer, is brought to you by Great American Food Stores, the low price leader.
Fresh Brussels sprouts are now coming to market. It may seem early, but I do want to tell you something, folks. The quality's excellent. Just look at all of these beautiful Brussels sprouts. Just absolutely excellent. Now, folks, when you go to market, you want to select small Brussels sprouts, and you want to see to it that the leaves are nice and green and that they're nice and hard. This is what determines a good Brussels sprout. Now, if they happen to be, loose, and if they happen to have yellow leaves, then I say to you, forget them because they won't be any good. Yellow leaves mean they've been hanging around too long. Now, I know a lot of you folks out there don't eat Brussels sprouts because you don't like the smell when they're cooking. Well, I tell you something, folks, there's an easy way to get rid of that smell, and that is the next time you boil your Brussels sprouts, throw in a few leaves of celery, and believe me, folks, the aroma will just completely disappear. Someone else wrote me a letter and said, well, we know another way to get rid of the Brussels sprout aroma, and that is don't leave the lid on when you cook the Brussels sprouts. Remove the lid. Well, I've never tried that, folks, but the one with celery I know. And another thing, folks, you know, when you cook Brussels sprouts, certainly you don't want to cook them too much. You want to cook them al dente, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. That's when they're good. And, folks, you know, flavor them with a little olive oil and vinegar, they're delicious. The next day, if you have any left over, they're great in a salad. This is Joe Carcioni, your greengrocer, with your tip for the day.
And tomorrow night, Joe will tell us about a fruit that is kind of hard to get at, pomegranate. Rod?
Terry, in tonight's 9 Eyewitness News People, former CBS TV correspondent Bill Moyers has been named the second recipient of the Douglas Edwards Award. This is the award given by St. Bonaventure University's Communications Department. Moyers, who has been praised for his work for the public broadcasting system, will receive that award in New York City in October.
TV game show host Bob Barker has changed his looks and is getting rave reviews. It seems that Barker returned from a European vacation without his usual dyed brown pompadour haircut. He's let his naturally gray hair show through. And apparently the new look is paying off. Fans greeted Barker on the Price is Right set with a standing ovation. However, TV viewers won't get to see the transformation until October 15th since the shows are pre-taped. What do you think?
That's something to look forward to, isn't
Bob
it?
in the gray.
Always kept mine a little bit gray. You know. Coming up a little later on 9 Eyewitness News, one of our area's quaint cities wins an award for the best main street in the state of New York. We'll tell you which one later on.
And coming up, the best weatherman in the state of New York, Rick Gary, will be here with the forecast. We'll be right back.
You're working and playing and building a dream. We're working and saying we're part of your team.
Tops never stops, saving you more. Tops never stops, look what's in store.
You'll find that we're friendly, you'll see that we serve. We make it exciting, that's what you deserve.
Tops never stops, bringing freshness to you. Tops never stops, 'cause neither do you.
You're working and playing and building a dream. We're working and saying we're part of your team.
Tops never stops,
Make us your store.
Tops never stops, saving you more. Tops never stops.
Set the world on fire, show 'em all you have to go. Put the heat out on the street and watch the faces start to glow. Turn it on.
The heat is on at your Lincoln Mercury dealer. Now, get great savings on Mercury Cougar when you buy a preferred equipment package along with 1.9 APR financing. Save on Mercury Sable with a preferred equipment package and 1.9% financing. Or get 1.9% financing on Mercury Topaz, Lynx, and Tracer. See your upstate New York Lincoln Mercury Mercure dealer.
When you pick up Fay's new 5-in-1 sale circular, prepare yourself for savings that are almost unbelievable. Quick Gel Formula Super Glue is yours free after mail-in rebate. These packs of Energizer batteries are a low $1 each after rebate when you buy 3 packs. And imported Swiss chocolate Carina bars are a delicious 77 cents each. Shop the fabulous 5-in-1 sale today at Fay's. Obviously not your average drugstore.
Model slasher victim Marla Hanson speaks out in her first talk show appearance. Next on
Thursday morning at 9.
Well, not the greatest day in central New York that I can remember.
Well, come on, it certainly is. Happy anniversary.
That's right.
Channel 9's 25th anniversary.
25 years ago
That's right.
tonight.
So, no matter what the weather, still great here.
Channel 9
Oh, the champagne bottles have been popping all afternoon.
Have they really?
Oh,
Have you
yeah,
had
it's been
any?
Great. No, not really. No.
I don't smell any champagne on your
Good,
breath.
because I wouldn't be able to do what I'm going to do here, okay? Yeah, but happy anniversary. The show tonight at 9 o'clock.
Right here.
25 years. Okay, on to the weather. Yeah, it was a dreary day, but things are going to get better as we take a look at our weather window. We'll go to Skaneateles, if you will, please. There we are. One of the dinner boats out there. And we had, throughout the, what a bad day to go back to school. I hate to say that, kids, and hate to give you that kind of weather. But tomorrow will be a lot nicer when you get the full day of school, you see. The high today was 76 degrees. And the low 66, well, we're in the ballpark here. We picked up 8/100ths of an inch of rain, and we're over 20 inches now for the year. Outside, we're looking at 75 degrees, humidity at 66%. The barometer on the rise right now with a weak high pressure system moving into the area, 29.87. The winds out of the west-northwest at 14 miles per hour. And across the state, we look at New York City as being the warm spot in the state right now. If we can move to the state map, we haven't crowd. There we go. Oh, okay, we're under our weather watchers. New York City had the warmest spot in the state, with Watertown being the cool spot. Right now, Fulton 74, Cardinelli's with the warm one among our weather watchers, and Live Lansing in Boonville was 63 degrees. We'll point out here in our satellite map, you can notice all that tropical depression and all that rain has gone northward, and look at that, sitting right on the peak up here, right above Maine, has now left the area and gone up into Canada. So we're seeing some showers throughout the southeast, a little bit out here in the center section, the northern plains or southern plains, midsection here of the United States, and even out into the southwest, but really not much happening on the west coast at all as far as rain is concerned. Again, moving up, this is a weak high pressure system, should keep us into a couple of nice days, Thursday, Friday into Saturday. Then we'll look for another front to come by Saturday. Again, a chance of a showers, and then we'll kind of get some better weather on Sunday. The jet stream nicely placed above us for this time of the year. Arcata, California with 53 at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Thermal, California with 103. And I guess you can guess where the worst weather was today. There is no doubt about it. We're going to put it right up in Maine. Bangor, Maine, rain, drizzle, fog, temperatures in the 60s. Our forecast for tonight, partly cloudy, patchy fog developing. Watch it. Low of 65 tomorrow. Partly sunny, high of 75. Rather nice. And the extended forecast, we'll also have some sun on Friday with 75 again. The showers on Saturday, 75. 75 to 80 on Sunday, and Monday looks pretty nice with sunny weather and temperatures in the 70s. Our 1-minute sportscast now with Doug Logan.
Thanks, Rick. Action is heated up at the U.S. Open Tennis Championships in New York. Earlier today, Chris Evert was an upset victim of 11th seed Lori McNeil. Meanwhile, the Syracuse University football Orangemen were back on the practice field this afternoon. Coach Dick McPherson says practices have not gone very well thus far this week, and he attributes it to the players beginning their classes. Elsewhere, the baseball wars continue to rage on in both the American and National Leagues. And the NFL owners plan to decide tomorrow whether to field teams during the threatened strike of players. That's the 1-minute sportscast. I'm Doug Logan.
All right, thank you, Doug. And coming up later on, we'll be previewing that Channel 9 25th anniversary program later tonight here.
And coming up next, the Family Healthcast. If you have high cholesterol, you'll want to watch this one. We'll be right back.
You can make your hair fuller and more manageable by giving your hair a moisture bath. Use a gentle shampoo and a moisturizing hair conditioner. Our Freeman treatments are made with natural ingredients to give your hair the look and feel you've always wanted. If you're suddenly not getting the results you want from your favorite shampoo, you've got shampoo burnout. That's why we make several shampoos, so you can revitalize your hair with a refreshing change.
Freeman Apple Shampoo and Conditioner, only $2.49 at Phase Drugs.
Hi, Central New York. I'm Joe Romano.
And I'm Mike Romano.
We've been spending the month of August introducing Regal Hyundai and the fabulous Hyundai Excel.
The best thing about the Hyundai Excel is its quality craftsmanship.
No, Mike, you've got it all wrong. The best thing about the Hyundai is the price.
Joey, the Hyundais are solid, sporty, and there's 6 models to choose from.
But, Mike, they start at only $54.20. How can you beat that?
I guess I don't have to.
Come see the whole line of Hyundais at Regal Hyundai. Regal Hyundai, West Hiawatha at 690.
Why does it seem so inviting?
It's the country inns. It's the leaves. It's the history. It's the leaves.
It's autumn in New York. It's time to love it again.
Call now for your free fall travel kit. Come see New York State and the leaves.
True Value Hardware, it's more than a name.
One lawn and garden tool stands out from the rest. The Green Thumb Deluxe Rake for only $3.99. It has a ram's horn spring for consistent tension, and the steel tines are durable and flexible. In September, the Green Thumb Deluxe Rake is just $3.99. Look for the True Value of the Month banner at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
In tonight's Family Health Headlines, we're going to talk a little bit about going back to school. Some kids seem to dive right in. They're happy to see their old friends and make new ones. But for other kids, this can be a period of adjustment. In fact, some doctors say it is not unusual for kids to have trouble sleeping and eating during the month of September. What can you do to help?
I think we can be sympathetic to the fact that they are under stress and not take their anger personally. We can avoid making excessive demands for good behavior at home and be there to listen to what their concerns are when they come home.
Now, if a child continues to have headaches, stomach aches, or trouble sleeping, it could mean a severe anxiety, and parents should get professional help. There's a new drug that's just been approved by the government that is the most effective remedy yet for lowering blood cholesterol. I told you a little bit about it last week, and since then you may have seen or read about it. The drug is called lovastatin. And if you're one of the 20 million Americans who have high cholesterol, you may be wondering if this drug can help you. In tonight's Family Health Focus, we're going to try and help you start to answer that question.
First, some background on lovastatin. It's not the only drug that lowers cholesterol. What makes it different from the others is fewer side effects, and it's more effective. It can reduce blood cholesterol by 1/3. Here's how it works. LDL, or low-density cholesterol, is dangerous because it gets deposited in the arteries and can lead to a heart attack. What lovastatin does is it works in the liver where that cholesterol is produced. It leads the body to take the dangerous cholesterol out of the blood. Who can lovastatin help? I asked that question of internist Dr. Paul Cohen.
A male with a strong family history with a high cholesterol who is in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, those people I think will be recommended to take that medication.
What do you define as a high cholesterol?
Say 240 or 250 or above.
Lovastatin probably won't be given to senior citizens because there's no evidence that lowering their cholesterol will lower their risk of heart attack. And the drug is not without its side effects. A small number of people have had liver and eye problems, so all patients will now be required to have liver blood tests every 6 weeks and eye exams every year. Now, when most of us think of lowering cholesterol, we think of cutting out certain foods like red meat and butter. But doctors say lovastatin is not a substitute, so you can't have your lovastatin and eat your butter too.
This is not the kind of medicine that should be used so that you go out and eat richly and then take the medication to then neutralize an antidote, so to speak, for eating very richly.
In fact, doctors say lovastatin works best when patients are on a low-fat, low-cholesterol diet.
And there is something else you should know about lovastatin. It is expensive. It can cost up to $3,000 a year. The drug should be available in about 2 weeks. I'll tell you more about lovastatin as more information becomes available. And now let's answer tonight's family health question. It comes to us from a viewer in Jamesville who writes about a skin disease. My niece has vitiligo, which destroys the pigment of the skin. She's developed white patches on her hands and feet. Is there any way to cure this disease? Well, I checked with a dermatologist in Syracuse who says vitiligo can be treated. Doctors can use medication and/or light treatments to return the pigment to the skin. A dermatologist can tell your niece which of those treatments will work best for her. If you have a health question, write to me here at WIXT 9. The address is 5904 Bridge Street, East Syracuse, New York, 13057. And now tonight's health facts. If you like bacon, this should be of interest. New research shows microwaving bacon produces less potentially cancer-causing substances than when the bacon is fried. And this is Cat Health Month. With that in mind, only half of all cat owners take their pets to the vet, compared with 74% of dog owners. And tomorrow night in the Family Healthcast, I'll tell you about another way to reduce your cholesterol. It doesn't involve drugs. It's something you can eat for breakfast.
And hopefully it costs less than $3,000 a year.
Definitely, Rod.
All right, thank you, Terry. Coming up here tonight, our 9 Eyewitness News Extra, we'll take a look at one school that's cracking down on smoking, due mainly to the students. And in our top stories tonight, the closing of OM Edwards is leaving a lot of families worried about their future. We'll meet one family and see what they'll do to cope with the situation.
And we'll meet a family who claims a VA hospital didn't notify them of their father's impending death, or that he was even ill at all. That and more next.
What's a better answer for quackgrass than 2 or more pounds of atrazine? Ranger herbicide applied this fall. Ranger beats quackgrass rates of atrazine because it has no carryover to hurt future alfalfa. Using Ranger this fall gets the job done early and lets you cut back to lower atrazine rates later for many other weeds. Ranger this fall. So good we guarantee 85% quackgrass control 2 cropping seasons from now. See your certified applicator about Ranger this fall.
There are many ways to enjoy the flavor of real tea. But if you prefer less caffeine, most brands use chemicals that attack the flavor. A notable exception being Salada Naturally Caffeine Reduced. Salada found a way to remove caffeine without chemicals, so nothing can come between you and the full, rich flavor of real tea. Salada Naturally Caffeine Reduced.
That's a lot of tea.
And nothing more.
A Syracuse family is going public with its own grief to prevent the same occurrence to others.
The Pfeiffer family is bringing charges of cruelty and carelessness against a Syracuse hospital. And as Nancy Duffy reports tonight, the hospital is not denying it.
This family lost a father last month. The burden of loss heightened by what the children call cruel and careless disregard for him by the VA hospital. James Pfeiffer, an outpatient for 20 years and an inpatient off and on this past year, died without their knowledge.
Thursday morning, about 3 a.m., I got a call from the hospital telling me that my father had expired. I was never notified that he was even brought in, and he was in intensive care for like 3.5 days. We knew nothing of it because he lived alone.
The Pfeiffers say the VA Code of Compassion and Dignity for veterans was violated.
For him to just lay there, especially for my sister Carol, we wanted to go public with this because she is tormented every day about thinking about him laying there and dying alone.
The elder Pfeiffer was 68. He died of heart and stroke complications.
I think they are very understaffed. I think there could be a lot of changes made here. I think the most important part is the personal care, and especially with the families. They don't seem to want to answer a lot of questions that the families need to know at the time.
The VA hospital administrators say the Pfeiffers have a right to be upset. They goofed.
There's no excuse.
Harold May, Chief of Medical Administration Service at the VA, said the incident should not have happened.
When we received the letter, it personally saddened me. It was inexcusable that the family wasn't notified. And we are taking immediate action. We have taken immediate action to help prevent this from happening again.
Nancy Duffy, 9 Eyewitness News.
As 9 Eyewitness News was first to tell you yesterday, the O.M. Edwards Company has closed, putting 160 people out of work. What we did not tell you yesterday was the human side of that story. And tonight, Gene Kessner talks with a family faced with the impossible choice between keeping their dream home or having food to eat.
This story sounds like the script of a soap opera, but it's true, and one of the most hard luck stories you can imagine. Mike Chappell worked for O.M. Edwards for 12 years. For the past 3 years, he has worked 2 jobs so he could save money for land and their dream house. The first payment on that house is due tomorrow, and yesterday he lost his job.
If I take all the money I have left right now in the bank and my last paycheck and scrape that together, I can just barely make the first mortgage payment, but that will leave me no money for food or clothing or even gas for transportation to get back to go try to find a job.
His wife, Lori, will have a baby next month. Last year, their infant son died shortly after birth, and this pregnancy is high risk. She needs a cesarean section. She's forced to take expensive medications. The bill will come to about $7,000, but their health insurance was canceled on Friday.
I don't want to lose my home. I'd like to try to keep it because I work so hard to pay for it. So I don't know where to go from here.
What do you want? Want some Kool-Aid, baby? Where Mike's headed next is the unemployment office. He has no idea what jobs are available, but he knows that a lot of laid-off people have the same skills as he, and the job market is pretty bleak.
And probably be back here about 4 o'clock. I gotta stop to a couple places to put in applications to see if they'll take applications. I don't know if they are right now. I'm just gonna shot in the dark and try to.
Chappell was the chief union steward at O.M. Edwards, and his men still turn to him for help.
Well, I called Mark said she don't know how next Thursday, and that'll be for the time we worked last week and for Labor Day and the 4 hours yesterday.
The house payment is due tomorrow, the land payment next week, the car payment the week after that. But Lori and Mike figure they can weather this storm if everything turns out okay with their baby. How about your husband? Think you'll make it okay?
Oh, yes. I'll hold him up.
Yeah, we'll survive. We have no choice.
Gene Kessner, 9 Eyewitness News.
O.M. Edwards has been in business in Syracuse for 100 years. Owners are looking for a buyer so the business and the jobs can continue, though at least 3 companies have expressed interest. None has come through with a purchase offer. Kerry?
Well, Rod, an Onondaga County legislator is calling for an investigation into a chemical spill at a Solvay firm. Bill Sanford says several thousand pounds of sulfuric acid was spilled or dumped into a sewer line at Chemtech Industries. He questions the harm done to the environment, whether it was deliberately dumped, and whether the spill was ever reported to the proper authorities. Sanford is asking the DEC, the Health Department, and Drainage and Sanitation to investigate.
The Syracuse man accused of killing his apartment complex neighbor was arraigned in Onondaga County Court today. 29-year-old Jamie Bruce Morton pleaded not guilty to a second-degree murder charge. He is accused of killing 25-year-old Linda Akers in his James Street apartment building. Morton is the man who told Syracuse police he wanted to, quote, raise some hell, so he picked the nearest person. Akers had been stabbed repeatedly. Judge Kevin Mulroy set bail at $50,000 cash, $100,000 bond. Well, a pair of Republicans who would be county executive are singing a similar tune tonight. Reporter Cheryl Nathans joins us now with the lyrics. Cheryl?
Rod, my poll's better than your poll are the lyrics. This afternoon, both Nick Pirro and Jim Walsh released professional scientific polls. First, the Pirro survey. 300 registered Republicans in Onondaga County were interviewed. Here's the breakdown. 41% of the respondents favor Pirro for the county's top job. 32% say Walsh is their man. Now, there is a hard undecided vote. 27% of those polled still haven't made up their minds. The margin of error is plus or minus almost 6%. Pirro's poll was done by the Worthland Group. That's a national polling firm. Pollster Neil Newhouse admits the contest is up for grabs, but that Pirro has now emerged the stronger of the two.
Nick was saying back to 19... Pirro in July was well known, but not known well. Now he is known well and well known. People have a feeling about Nick Pirro that when I get from the numbers, I think he's very strong.
And now to the Jim Walsh poll. His survey reflects the opinions of 285 Republicans chosen at random from County Board of Election rolls. Here are his numbers. Walsh is number 1 with 33% of the respondents. Pirro gets the nod from 31%. And again, there's a big undecided vote, 29%. The margin of error in Walsh's poll, about 5.3%. Syracuse University political science professor Jeff Stonecash is Walsh's pollster. About his survey, he had this to say.
I think it shows that it is close, but it shows that Jim has about a 2-point lead at this point. So it strikes me that what's probably most important here is the ability to get those voters to the polling booth next Tuesday.
How about the fact that he seems to have lost ground as time has gone on?
I could answer that one. I'll do the philosophy, he'll do the statistics, okay? I think the fact that my opponent has spent $250,000 to our $66,000 tells volumes about why the lead has eroded.
Walsh's poll was taken September 3rd, Pirro's 8 days earlier. The Walsh camp seems to think that's important. Pirro's people claim their survey, though less recent, still holds up. Well, what does all this mean? Here's what. The results of the poll indicate what both candidates now admit: their contest is too close to call, and primary night, September 15th, promises to be a long one. Now, it's an old cliche, but of course, the final poll on Election Day is the one that really counts. However, there is another survey that may continue to draw attention. Last week, Walsh released an informal telephone survey. Now, he was required by law to file detailed information about it within 48 hours. Well, the information got in late to the county's Board of Elections. The Pirro camp says if all isn't in order, it will file a complaint with the State Board of Elections. If the board rules against Walsh, he could be fined $1,000 for each violation. Now, there's another question, and this one is about a Pirro telephone survey. His people tell me they never made one public. Others say otherwise. Folks, stay tuned as the 87 vote rolls on.
Thank you, Cheryl. Elsewhere tonight in the political world, Democratic District Attorney candidate Robert Wildridge officially launched his campaign today with a broadside at incumbent DA Richard Hennessy. Wildridge, flanked by Democratic Party supporters, promised salvos at Hennessy's competency.
They've not always gotten real justice in the past under the current district attorney. There have been cases that have been manifestly unjust in their result.
Wildridge opened his headquarters in Onondaga Plaza, downtown.
Lee Alexander's attorney says he is sure his client can get a fair trial in Syracuse, but that may not happen. U.S. District Judge Thomas McAvoy has scheduled the former mayor's trial to begin January 19th in Binghamton. Attorney Jim McGraw tells us a formal request to switch locations may be made. On July 16th, Alexander was indicted on racketeering, extortion, and income tax evasion charges. Federal prosecutors accuse Alexander of operating an extortion kickback scheme out of his city hall. There is a road in Skaneateles that is about to receive an award from the state. It's not because the road is paved better than the rest or because fewer accidents occur on it. Rather, it is an award-winning road because there is a lot happening on either side. Beth Tornatore explains.
This is Genesee Street. It runs through the heart of the village of Skaneateles. It's traveled by thousands of locals and tourists, and it's lined by thriving businesses. It's charming and it's busy, and according to the state, it's one of the most successful main streets in all of New York. And on Friday, Secretary of State Gail Schaefer will make it official. The Main Street New York Award will be presented to the mayor of Skaneateles. For people who work and live here, the secret of success is a blend of business and pleasure.
There's a very active chamber and merchants association, just even as far as putting up the flowers along the street and at Christmas decorating for the holiday season. And that's all a joint effort by particularly the people on Main Street.
Well, we chose Skaneateles because of the small town atmosphere. It's a beautiful town, beautiful lake.
And Main Street?
The Main Street is looking nice.
And you can shop here?
Yes, I do all my shopping here.
This business district is also a winner for wearing its age so well. There's no one-stop shopping mall here. Instead, places like Talbot's Five and Dime and Herb's Tobacco Shop. So it's that winning combination of service and scenery that makes Skaneateles, New York, Main Street America. In Skaneateles, Beth Tornatore, 9 Eyewitness News.
I have long admired the village of Skaneateles. It's beautiful out there.
It is. The lake, it's perfect.
Yep.
Perfect place to go. Well, coming up next, we're going to be talking more about back to school. You know, every school has its own sets of policies on how to deal with students.
Well, next in our 9 Eyewitness News Extra, we'll take a look at a Liverpool school where the students help deal with the students. We'll explain. Stay with us.
It's a first at Faye's Drugs. Faye's store-wide 5-in-1 sale with aisle after aisle of supercharged savings. Buy one, get one free in Faye's brand vitamin department. So many choices, so many values. Buy one, get one free from Faye's hosiery selections too. And save 30% off all these Revlon cosmetics and nail care implements too. Just one more way Faye's is not your average drugstore. Obviously.
Something's burning. Something's burning. Something's burning.
And I think it's my eggs.
Now there's a cooking margarine for buttery flavor that won't burn, called Cookery. Like regular margarine, New Cookery adds rich, buttery flavor to all your cooking. But watch, New Cookery is clarified so it doesn't brown, doesn't burn.
Nothing's burning.
Try New Cookery from Parquet and lemon, garlic, and buttery flavors.
This is Bill O'Reilly in New York. Coming up on World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, a look at the complex logistics for the Pope's trip to the U.S. And President Reagan faces criticism from a Supreme Court justice on civil rights.
You know, this is Walt Disney World. But so is this. And this. Walt Disney World, a vacation within a vacation. It's the world's greatest resort.
This is the year to see the world, Walt Disney World. The whole family likes to see colorful Channel 9.
Where were you September of '62? Channel 9 was making its debut.
Welcome to colorful Channel 9's premiere telecast.
Wednesday night at 9, get acquainted with some old friends.
Good evening. A good evening to you.
I'm Rod Wood. Join us for this silver anniversary special from the Barron to Bridge Street. Wednesday night at 9 on Central New York 9.
When students walk through the doors of Liverpool High School tomorrow, they will have 2 new rules to contend with. In tonight's 9 Eyewitness News Extra, Renee Starzik tells us how those policies are going to affect the students.
A new school year means new rules at Liverpool High School. One of those rules came from a group you'd least expect, the students themselves. A survey last year found the majority of kids wanted to do away with the smoking areas at the high school. So that's just what the administration did.
With the evidence that we have today, it's actually hypocritical for us to teach in health classes and teach in biology classes that smoking is not good for your health, and yet to condone it by providing students with a smoking area.
Severy says the school is simply looking out for the kids' best interests. The students, those who smoke at least, aren't buying it.
What about the people that smoke? You know, I mean, what are they supposed to do? You know, you can't smoke. We're not breaking laws, are we?
They're gonna have a smoking lounge. No one else is gonna be in there that doesn't smoke, so why is it gonna be bothering anybody else?
Rules or no rules, kids who smoke will find a way to light up. What's their favorite hiding place at school? That's got to be the easiest question in the world. It's right here in the bathroom, and that's no secret to the administration.
Smoking in the lavatories is as old as schools themselves. I think that's something that we always have to work to reduce. We do have 2 monitors, 2 security people. Last year we had 2 males. This year it'll be a male and a female. And one of the things that they will be doing is checking the lavatories and the locker rooms on a regular basis.
The second policy now in place at Liverpool High School comes after 3.5 years of study. Basically, it says if you don't attend class, you don't pass.
There are a number of students who will do very well in spite of the fact that they've missed a lot of time. There are a number of very capable students who can succeed without necessarily being there in class. That doesn't mean they shouldn't be there, and that doesn't mean that they can't benefit from being there, because we have a strong belief that good learning, or good attendance, is a prerequisite to good learning.
I don't think that's fair, because if you come down with a disease or something, or you get sick, break a leg, come down with mono or something, you're going to be out for a couple weeks.
I think it's a realization by school people that there are some things that are very important and that school people should insist upon. To me, it's more of a continuum, a continuation of what's good and what's acceptable for kids.
The question now is, will the policies work? Those at Liverpool High School say they'll have that answer sometime next spring. Renee Starzik, 9 Eyewitness News.
In tomorrow night's 9 Eyewitness News Extra, we'll see how one community is taking care of children whose parents work and can't care for them after school. They'd otherwise be known as latchkey kids. Rod?
And Kerry's still ahead tonight. Doug Logan is in with a sports report and tell us about an upset at the U.S. Open tennis tournament today.
One of my favorites, Chris Evert. She's gone. Doug will have the story right after this.
Hiya, it's me, America's oldest romantic baritone working with America's oldest car company, Burns & Olds. Like a top billing. I'm older. Oldsmobile just reached 90. They're nice kids. I'm here to tell you about Oldsmobile's 90th anniversary celebration.
And now you can celebrate with 1.9 APR GMAC financing, or up to $1,000 cash back from Oldsmobile.
We're ready to do the commercial.
I just did it.
Hi, my name is Ricky. I used to wear the same cotton diapers as my sister Nicole I'm wearing now. Cotton. Cotton is the same thing that all us grown-ups wear because it feels good. On TV, I saw crinkly plastic diapers. Mom showed me the gunk inside the plastic and told me about diaper rash. Yuck, cotton's better. Cotton's safe, soft, sensational.
Pure cotton diapers, no question.
In this week's Star Magazine, it's Jim and Tammy Baker's Private World.
I saw their wild spending, Tammy's tantrums, and Jim's secret drinking.
Also in Star, Lisa Marie Presley's moved out, telling her stingy mom, don't be cruel. Blonde bombshell Mamie Van Doren bears all in a Star Book Extra.
I'll tell you about my nights with Johnny Carson and Warren Beatty, and my hot affair with Steve McQueen.
Plus, how Lee Marvin found happiness with his childhood sweetheart.
Get it all in this week's Star Magazine.
For all of you who couldn't get enough of Pizza Hut's whole wheat golden pan pizza, who couldn't get enough of that rich whole wheat crust and our special blend of cheddar and mozzarella cheeses, we'd like to make an announcement. Whole wheat golden pan pizza is returning to Pizza Hut. which is a good reason for you to return to Pizza Hut.
The youngest victims, children with AIDS, on the next Oprah Winfrey Show.
Thursday afternoon at 4.
We've seen some upsets at the U.S. Open over the past several days. On the male side, of course, Boris Becker the other day, and now the female side, we have another upset.
Yes, indeed, with Chris Everett Lloyd. Another major upset at the U.S. Open Tennis Championships in New York. Chris Everett, six-time champion at the Open, and the tournament's #3 seed, was eliminated by 11th-seeded Lori McNeil. Chris won the first set 6-3, but lost the next two 6-2, 6-4. First time in 17 years she's failed to qualify for the semis at the Open. Meanwhile, it was business as usual for #2 seed Martina Navratilova. She won in straight sets over 8th-seeded Gabriela Sabatini, 7-5 and 6-3. Well, the Syracuse University football Orangemen have a lot on their minds these days with registration and the beginning of classes. The word is that practices have not gone especially well coming off that electrifying victory over the Maryland Terrapins. The Orangemen were back on the practice field this afternoon with a more lively workout in advance of Saturday's game at Rutgers. The Scarlet Knights were 10-7 winners at Cincinnati, and they'll be ready to battle Syracuse.
I think what Rutgers does in particular is they play very, very hard. They're very well coached, and they do very few things to get themselves beaten. We'll have to play very, very hard and well and not have any mistakes. We had two situations in the game, especially with running backs, where the ball was on the ground, and we were fortunate that we recovered both of those. We have to eliminate those kind of problems.
They like to throw the ball. They don't try to get on deep on you like Maryland did, but they're more of a possession type of passing team, and so we've got to really tighten our zones up and really be ready to break up on them.
They're tough. They sit back. They look for people to make a lot of mistakes, but they're a good football team. They're disciplined, and they're scrappy. They never give up. Never give up. They always play us tough. Always.
Well, I'm looking forward to them passing. Their quarterback is young, but on film he seems as though he's really communicating well with his receivers. And the key is that we just have to stick together and play better than we did last week.
That young defensive secondary for Syracuse is coming of age.
Oh, yeah. We've been together for a couple years, and we're really good friends. And the key is that we practice well together, and we know each other's strong points and weak points.
Game time Saturday, Syracuse versus Rutgers, 1 o'clock. The National Football League owners plan to decide tomorrow whether to field teams during a threatened strike by the players following the second weekend of the season. The 28 club owners will also make financial arrangements to help defray costs should the unions strike for the second time in 5 years. Indications are the show will go on regardless of a strike by the players. You might see Rod Wood, though, in uniform. Who knows? No. Chicago Cubs have announced that interim manager Frank Lucchese will remain at the helm of the ball club for the remainder of the season. Yesterday, general manager Dallas Green accepted the resignation of Gene Michael. Among the candidates to lead the Cubs next year, third baseman John Vukovich and former Cub and Hall of Famer Billy Williams. In Lucchese's first game yesterday, the Cubs lost to the Pirates 4-1, but the teams were at it again this afternoon at Wrigley Field. Pirates jumped out in front in the second inning. R.J. Reynolds crunched a two-run homer off Chicago starter Scott Sanderson, but reliever Jeff Robinson won the ball game with a ninth-inning home run as the Pirates beat the Cubs 4-3 for their fourth straight win and their 12th in the last 15 games. The Cubs, meanwhile, have lost 3 in a row. On to the scoreboard. There's the final, 4-3. Over in the American League, Detroit is playing a doubleheader at Baltimore. They lead in game 1, 4-0 in the second. Oakland looks like they're going to beat Texas now in the 7th inning. Baseball last night, the New York Mets gained a full game on St. Louis in the National League East. The Mets with a 2-1 lead against the Phillies, but Mike Schmidt tied the ball game up in the 6th. His 29th home run of the season, a towering shot over the wall in left. 2-all. Bottom of the 6th, Rafael Santana broke the tie with a single to left, scores 2 runs, lifts the Mets to a 5-2 win. Meanwhile, Montreal Expos beating St. Louis. Bob Forsch uncorks a wild pitch in the first, which brings in Tim Raines and makes it 1-0 Expos. We're looking at some beautiful American League highlights as that race continues to rage on. The tough Toronto Blue Jays, the Detroit Tigers, and the New York Yankees all involved in a real Donnybrook indeed, and play continues this evening. Let's go on to Finger Lakes and give you the Daily Double, the numbers. Daily Double, 3 and 5, $141.40. The late trifecta, 6, 1 and 5, $1,268. You know, it's got to be tough for the ball players. They've been practicing football for about 5 weeks or 6 weeks, and all of a sudden you throw in registration and go to classes and still come to practice. I don't see how you really can have good practices the first week. But they hope to get it all straightened out.
And a few injuries from Saturday night's ball game as well. A lot of players told nursing injuries. That's a
Marcus Paul had some of the biggest hits in the ball game. Defensive back.
He got hit too.
I asked him after the ball game how he felt. He said beat up. And I asked him today how he felt. He said, I'm still sore. So it takes a little while to recover.
He made some sensational moves Saturday night, I must say.
Syracuse looks like they might have a pretty good defense.
And Rutgers?
And Rutgers is going to be tough, and they always play Syracuse scrappily.
All right. Thank you, Doug. Elsewhere tonight, the Democratic candidate for Onondaga County Executive, Mel Zimmer, has proposed a revolving medical equipment pool for senior citizens. Zimmer said today the pool of wheelchairs and other equipment would serve the elderly at no cost to anyone.
Make a building available so that we can pool this equipment, so that we can get hospital beds and wheelchairs and crutches and whatever other equipment that's necessary. Pool that. We'll look to volunteers to fund and to run the and to become involved in a voluntary fashion for the distribution of that equipment to senior citizens.
The city of Syracuse and the union, representing 300 of its white-collar workers, are hoping the third time will be a charm. A tentative agreement has been reached on a new contract for those employees. The rank and file has rejected 2 previous offers. They've been working without a contract since last December. No details of the latest tentative agreement have been released. Terry?
Rod, it was 25 years ago tonight that WIXT, then WNYS, signed on the air for the first time. And tonight, in celebration of our silver anniversary, we will be presenting a 1-hour special. The program will be a reunion of past and present employees, some of whom were here when we signed on and are still with us today. There'll be some reminiscing and some highlights of the past 25 years. Some familiar faces indeed.
Everything's good with these piano players.
It was nothing. So we've been having a little...
Well, you'll get to see and hear from them and more tonight. With this being the 9th day of the 9th month, our Channel 9 anniversary special will be on tonight at what other time? 9 o'clock.
Perfect. And I can remember the night they went on, too. I watched it.
Did you really?
I was just a little kid.
Just a wee little boy. How little were you?
I was so small that I couldn't even reach the dial on the TV. No, I was a little bigger than that. But I remember that, so I feel as if I've been here for 25 years myself.
I think it'll be a very nice show for the people of this community to see it. Don't laugh.
I had Rod over there. I just found out Rod had the other end of my paper route when I was a kid. You realize that the other week?
We both got Herald Journal routes.
And they spelled his name wrong. I can't understand that tonight. Call him a different name. Anyway, let's get over.